Good morning, everybody. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Madison County Preliminary Development Review Committee meeting for Tuesday, July 7th. We do have a quorum, so we'll begin. We need to adopt the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Other business is that we need to approve the minutes from April 7th. It has been a while since we met. April 7th, 2026, which are in the packet.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as submitted from the April 7th, 2026 meetings. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We'll go ahead and get into new business. We do have a SUP case in front of us, throttle therapy. Scott McAdoo and Alex Kruthapt, is it? Don't tell me how to say it, because I'll say it. Is it Kruthapt? Okay. On behalf of Throttle Therapy, I've requested an exploratory meeting to discuss a potential special use permit on property identified as Madison County Tax Maps 6531, 66-2, and 66-1 to establish a professionally managed outdoor recreation destination featuring off-road motorsports, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, and side-by-sides, guided trail rides, camping and recreational lodging, and river recreation. The property is 453 acres and is zoned A1. Mr. Nichols.
I think in this case, the
Straight to the
applicants will
applicant.
do the best job of presenting their concept. They have a presentation to give us, so we'd like to invite them to come to the microphone and present. And then we can go back and we can touch base on all the relevant ordinances and those things that'll come into play once they pitch their concept.
And to the committee, I apologize. We are actively working on replacement options, so the back monitor or projector is down, so bear with us. You'll have to be attentive to the screen behind the dais.
Thank you both. Gentlemen, it is your floor.
Perfect. Okay, good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Alex Kruthapt,
Scott McAdoo, good morning.
and I appreciate you guys having us here today. Our plan was just to tell you who we are, what we currently have, and kind of our vision for Madison County. So we own and operate Throttle Therapy Lake Anna. It's a friendly family riding establishment in Orange, Virginia. It's 40 minutes from here to the east. That's our current trail map of our property. So it's 93 acres. It's a complete private farm. We have 2 tracks for dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides. Those are the yellow markers there in the fields. We have 10 miles of single and double track through the 63 acres of wooded property that we have. We do have a 100-yard shooting range, and the reason we have that is because it's a private establishment. We have a little mud run. It's about, 75 feet probably, where people can get their ATV wet if they like. And then we have a 5-bedroom farmhouse. So it's essentially an Airbnb. But instead of having access to a pool, or if you're at the Outer Banks to the beach, you have riding opportunities. And that's really what we had. So we originally, we both live in Annapolis, Maryland. Maryland is not very friendly to power sports. So that's why we came to Virginia, and we essentially bought the farm. And we wanted a place for our kids to ride. Scott has 2 children. I have 3 daughters. They're all roughly the same age. And when we started building the throttle therapy, we realized very quickly that there's probably a need for this and a demand. So that's how throttle therapy was born. That's the current picture I took with the drone of our track, and you can see the farmhouse in the back. And then if you kind of look to that upper left, there's a neighborhood that we sit next to. It's called Land's End, and they're actually lakefront themselves on Lake Anna. So our property line's about a quarter mile. Next slide, Al. So as far as unique, from what we could tell, and we've been in business now for 3.5 years, there's only 3 other like properties on the entire East Coast. So we have a place down in Florida. There's another place in North Carolina called Salty Acres. And then the third place is up in Pennsylvania, almost on the New York line. So it's a fairly unique concept. And we have spoke to the other two, just not the individual in Florida. So we do share ideas, and we don't really see each other as competition because we're all spread out about 2 to 3 states from each other, and we all sort of draw from different markets. But again, as far as this being sort of a well-known concept, it's fairly unique, and if anything, maybe more of like a boutique type concept. Next slide. So, since we've been operating for 3.5 years, we've learned a lot, and we found that there's a major problem. And the major problem is people love the ride, they really enjoy it, but to actually go do it on a place that's legal and safe, they have to pack up the family, they have to put all their bikes and stuff on a trailer, hook up the camper, and head 6 hours west to go to West Virginia or to Western Virginia or up to Pennsylvania. Those are going to be your areas where you can actually hit sites. Even for us in Maryland, if we go to Pennsylvania, it's a 3-hour drive, and then West Virginia itself is about a 6.5-hour drive. So that's really the big problem. And a lot of people, they want to ride on a Saturday, but they got sports in the morning, they got family events in the evening, so they just want to go and ride for 2 hours. So they're happy to ride for drive for an hour to go hit the trails for a couple hours, but then they want to be back for dinner per se, and they don't have the time to get all the way out. There's a website for this map here. There's a website called riderplanet.com, and it hosts every single ATV, dirt bike, side-by-side park in the country. So you can click on the state of Virginia, and you can see where the locations are. I actually erased some of the locations that are no longer open, and I drew that red box there because I wanted to show you that within that red box, so from DC all the way down to Lynchburg, and then let's say Richmond all the way to Staunton, there's only one facility, and that's ours there in orange, and ours is private. So it's not open to the public. The only way you can access the tracks and trails is by renting one of our now 2 houses. We started with 1 house. We now have a 2nd house. But again, Central Virginia is literally dying to have some sort of facility where they could go and ride and enjoy some outdoor recreation.
And to add more to that challenge that we ran into, kind of where we started, we both live in Annapolis, Maryland. He works for the federal government. I'm a police officer. I'm one of our motor officers as well. I ride the police motorcycles. Love riding. It has become my therapy. Seen a lot of bad things. He's an Army vet. Seen a lot of bad things wearing a badge, things that I don't like to think about, and I found that riding has just become my therapy. And during COVID, I was always into riding. I got Alex into riding. He lives across the street and 3 doors down. And he has 3 girls. They started riding. My kids, my daughter Scotland here, she's been riding since she was 4. My son started at 3. My son is now 10. He's at ice hockey camp right now. So we started to look so when COVID hit, everyone went outdoors. Where can we do? What can we do? We got to get fresh air because they all told us we couldn't be inside, right? So we said, well, we got bikes. He got bikes for his family. And we started thinking, well, where is there a place where we can take our family to go ride? We started looking around, and my wife, I'm going to say embarrassingly, she's a little bougie, okay? And she would not want to travel down and stay at a rickety cabin in West Virginia and stay, which I think that would be beautiful. Am I right, Scotland? Right. So I might speak for Alex's wife as well. So we said, well, where can we go and take the family to go ride? And we started to look and said, there really isn't anything. And so we went on the hunt 5 years ago. We went on the hunt and we started looking at farms and said, well, what if we bought some property and turned it into a short-term vacation rental? So instead of going down to the Outer Banks and renting a beach house for a few days or a week, and it comes with the pool and a hot tub and a basketball hoop, you get tracks, trails, and at our place a shooting range. And we had really no proof of concept. We sailed to the New World. We burned the ships. There was no going back. We took all of our money, everything I had, and we put into it. And we had 2 months cash reserves. And that was it. And folks started showing up. And we've had guests. We just added a total. Since we launched, we've had 3,000 guests come in from as far as Maine and Georgia to come down and stay, to lock the gate behind them for a private experience with their family and friends.
All right, Al. Thanks. So one of the things that is hurting us as a business, since we only have now 2 houses, we have a guest house, which we bought our neighbor's house. We book up all of our weekends until September and January. Again, that's a good thing for us, but it's a bad thing for everybody that wants to book. We've tried very hard to get people to come during the week. Everyone's got to work during the school years. Kids are in school. Summers it's a little better, but for the most part, it's a weekend thing. And again, it's been a struggle. So we're trying to expand, and we stumbled across this beautiful farm here in Madison. It's 30 minutes from our other location, and it's about as perfect a property as you could get. So the great thing about this specific location, it already has 4 homes on the property. It has 17 bedrooms for those 4 homes. And again, the concept would be the same. It would just be slightly bigger. The other thing that we do want to get into is, like I say, we want to try and target the city slickers, the folks that maybe grew up in rural Virginia or Pennsylvania that grew up riding but now live in a condo in the city. They would love to come out for a couple hours, rent a side-by-side, and just drive around in a guided tour. So that's another of the concepts that we'd like to start. But to be able to do a 2-hour tour, the farm, you got to have a larger size property. 93 acres gets pretty small when you're on a side-by-side. Again, you're not going 40 miles per hour. You're cruising on a trail about 10.
Has anyone ever been on a cruise where one of the excursions is you get the ATV jungle tour, anything like that, or out to the desert and you ride around? Very similar concept. It'd be a guide and a follow the leader, very controlled, stock bikes. Picture, anyone here have a UTV in the room? Picture 5 of those following a train around through the tractor paths kind of thing. And that's what we would envision to come in. They come in and make it a day activity and get on the side by side and do the tour through the turns.
So the one thing we're missing at our Orange property is we don't actually have water on site. We do promote the lake because it's 4 miles away by car. Again, the good news is I talked to every guest and I said, hey, did you guys make it to the lake? And they said, no, we just rode the whole time. So again, it's a good thing. But this property, since it has the river access on site and it's 2 beautiful ponds, I think it would be great for the whole family. The other interesting thing that we did like about this property is it has a wedding venue, essentially. And believe it or not, we've gotten multiple calls from individuals, mostly the husbands, but that would like to have their weddings at our location where they could ride, before, after, maybe even during. But again, we
ride in on a side by side
Yeah.
and ride off on a side by side with the cans and making the noise.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet, just because we're trying not to do events of that scope at Orange, because again, it's just kind of small. But this would actually be set up where we could do that, and we could promote it. I think it'd be really neat. Next slide, Alan. So again, there's just a little image of kind of what your side-by-side tour looks like. We do rentals at Orange for folks that, so since we're a 5-bedroom house, we usually have 2 to 3 families that come in. It's going to be, my family, Scott's family, and our other friend's family. And sometimes the 3rd family that comes, they don't have anything. So we do have ATV rentals. Another company does that for us because we can't manage that since we're not on site 24/7. But with letting people run off on their own with rentals, there does tend to be some damage. And that's why we do like the controlled guided tours, because no one's going to be let off to their own, demise, essentially. They'll have to follow the guy in front of them. And it's safe and it's controlled. So we like that aspect, and it'll keep the machines and the people safe. So next slide, Alan. So this is just the property. I think he had it on the packet map. But yeah, it's, again, 453 acres and about 2.25 mile of riverfront with the Rapidan. Next slide. So those are just some those are photos from Lake Anna. Single track on the right, and then we were playing on the turn track in the backyard. Next slide. So since we're an Airbnb in Orange, we don't have a special use permit. We just have an Airbnb permit. We're allowed per county code to do 4 events a year. We only do one event a year because we make it 2 days. So in the winter, November, December, we'll have an annual day ride event. We've done it 2 years in a row. We do plan to do it again this year. That heat map is from the folks that have attended our day ride. The first year we did it, we did 100 guests. Saturday and Sunday we sold out. And we chose 100 because we didn't really know how many people we could get on the property safe, like where they could ride and not be too crowded. And we bumped it up to 130 last year. And we feel there's still room, but we feel 130 is kind of our max capacity. But that event sold out as well. And you can see just for the day riding event, we had folks that came outside of a 3-hour drive. But the vast majority were in that hour to 2-hour range. And this year we'll do another 260 for the weekend, and we'll probably sell out in about a week. So again, that demand, and people are just dying to ride. And then the other thing is a lot of folks don't have, in order to afford throttle therapy, you have to come with multiple families. And sometimes people just don't have multiple families to go ride with. So this gives them the opportunity to come, ride our trails for the day. Next slide. Again, that's just the zoomed in of where the people are coming from because we track all that. We do a lot of advertising, so we kind of want to know who our customer base is. Next slide. And then this right here, this is our guests for just the house and the private stays for 2026. When we first kicked off, we were originally just advertising in Virginia and Maryland, and then we started getting some interest up north, and we realized very quickly that tons of people will drive 5-6+ hours to come stay at our place because they're even further away. And they really like that private aspect, and they like the shooting aspect. So we kind of get that whole 95 corridor all the way up to and past New York City. Our guests coming in this Thursday are from Connecticut. There's 16 of them. So they're not afraid to drive, and it's been fantastic, that whole 95 corridor.
We've learned that in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, it seems to us that these folks have money and no place to ride.
Yeah.
And New Jersey's really cracking down on places to ride in their state forests and everything. And we were just kind of blown away at how far folks were willing to come down and travel and come down for a few days and have a great time, and then they go home.
Yeah.
And they go home.
Oddly enough, we get no guests from west of 81, which we haven't really figured out how to crack that, but I guess they're so close to West Virginia, it's just easier for them to go out there. Next slide. Okay, and there's your blown up. So this is just this year. So we got Connecticut, like I said, coming in, Buffalo, and then we had 3 groups out of North Carolina. Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 hours. And then a lot of the locals, like we'll get a bunch of folks from Fredericksburg. They'll call me up and they're like, I just can't drive to Hatfield McCoy another time. Like I'm done. I'm done with doing the whole.
Is anyone familiar with Hatfield McCoy trail system? Familiar with that, the concept? So my understanding, their economy, they're down Southwest Virginia. If you haven't heard, big coal mining, Appalachia, the economy just is really hurting down there. And what they kind of got together and said, well, we need to drive dollars down here. What can we do? Well, what do we have? We have a lot of land. We have mountains. We have old roads. And they've just embraced the outdoor riding community and created a massive trail system down there. I think they're well over 1,000 miles. And it is beautiful down there. I've been there, I went down. I'm 45. I went down for my 40th birthday, and I rode 300 miles, and it was just.
You want 12 guys.
It was, we had 9 guys. And it was amazing, absolutely amazing, but it was a hike. It was 7 hours down there. It was just so far. And that's all they had was just the ride, and there was nothing else to do down there. So a lot of our guests are saying, we love Hatfield, but I also love the convenience, because we've had many guests that have had mechanical issues with their bike, and they were able to run home 45 minutes an hour and grab their spare, where had they been in West Virginia, they would have been watching everybody else ride.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
Fun fact. Alan, next slide. Again, you guys, you being in your communities, you understand the value of outdoor recreation. Again, this was just something that I captured when we were first originally looking to start Throttle Therapy Lake Anna. Outdoor recreation is an important part of Virginia's economy. Relative to West Virginia and Pennsylvania, I feel like Virginia could do a lot better. That's something that Scott and I have been actually thinking about getting into a little more, is reaching out to state legislation, and there's a bunch of other things that other states are doing to promote outdoor recreation in that power sports space. A lot of times power sports are kind of left off because, they just have a bad rep about them. And that's something that we want to make sure when we do talk about outdoor recreation, power sports is included. So, next slide. Again, just more outdoor recreation. You can continue there, Alan. Next slide. So this was a survey that they did, and this is specific to Central Virginia. So the impact, Central Virginia's tourism industry leaders identified outdoor recreation as the top priority need. Again, this is that whole space. This is going to include fishing, hiking, and everything else. But outdoor recreation is still that number one need. Next slide. Agritourism. So we are an active farm in Orange. It helps us kind of, the land use. We have land use. We grow hay. Out of our 30 acres, we grow 20 acres of hay. Our local farming neighbor takes that hay. In exchange, we get a bush cut for our track, and he helps us with some maintenance. But for him, it's great because he gets free hay. And then again, people have a misconception that if you're on a dirt bike, you want to be like on a street or in the cities, and that's not true. Everybody that wants to ride, they want to be out in the woods, and they want to enjoy nature. And you're not even riding the whole time. You take breaks, you turn off the bike, and go play in the water.
That is one thing as an officer. I don't know if you're seeing it down here, but we get thousands of dirt bike ATV complaints on our roads constantly. And now we're being overrun by the e-motos. So it's a dirt bike with an electric motor, and they are everywhere, and we're cracking down on it so hard. And so we're trying to provide, by getting, is it going to solve the problem? I don't think so, but if every bike that's out riding on our place is one less bike that's on the road. And so with the new place here in Madison, we were just talking how, to have a section. We'd love to keep that agritourism, keep some cattle, the whole ride down. She's, Daddy, look at the goats, look at the sheep, look at the cows. And we just think the kids would really, really like that, to make it an experience to come out to do a tour, possibly do a canoe trip or float down the river, see the animals, and make it an experience.
Yes. Next slide, Alan. Again, just sharing the lifestyle, way of living, enjoying the outdoors, fun and entertainment. Again, I pulled those from Virginia's definition of agritourism. Next slide. So I was just trying to find some data. This is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture Economic Research from 2025. These are the counties within Virginia where their main revenue source is coming from outdoor recreation or recreation. And again, I just highlighted Madison. So for folks that aren't in this room, know where Madison is. But again, there's not many counties, but there's a few. And, it'd be nice if some more counties, especially in that southwestern or southern part, and again, Central Virginia, I think is prime for it as well. Next slide. So this is a study that a university did on Hatfield-McCoy trails. And the reason I wanted to put this up here is, again, we're not trying to compete with Hatfield, but last year they sold close to over 95,000 passes. So basically, you go to West Virginia, pay $50, you get a pass, and you can ride the whole year. But most folks only go, a few times a year, so it's fairly cheap. But again, it's to get out there. And they did a study on what everybody's riding and the group sizes. So it's just more data that we were able to consume and see who would be a good target. Next slide. These are the locations that everyone comes from to West Virginia to ride, Ohio being number one. We haven't gotten any guests, but our friend down in North Carolina at Salty Acres, he gets tons of riders from Ohio. So we haven't really been able to crack that Ohio yet ourselves, but we'll try and do that. But all the other red lines there that I have pointing to the states, are people that we target and we get a lot of pull from. So Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Virginia. We haven't gotten anybody from West Virginia. New York, of course, Maryland, and New Jersey we get a lot of guests from. So next slide. And then the economic developer director, he actually just left. I think he was there for like 20 plus years. He left last year. He said it's the only way we can get these numbers is continue to add capacity and specifically lodging. So the only thing that's holding back West Virginia for growing even more is not having enough lodging for folks to stay. And again, I think folks like me are going out there and continually trying to grow locations where people can sleep. Because again, you can't drive somewhere for 7 hours and not having where to stay. Next slide. Okay, and if you guys can think back to that red box that I put in the beginning where there's no riding locations. So this is driving time for the property here in Madison. And that 3-hour circle there, that's 20 million folks that we have access to that could potentially make their way out to Madison for some riding. Next slide. This is our social media. So one thing that made us successful, Scott loves to be in front of a camera, which is great because I don't. So again, we have that working relationship. But we were really big on social media. Reviews are big for us. We have 176 Google reviews. Google reviews are very, very difficult to get. People just don't like leaving reviews. But we have very good reviews that we do get. I just made a little word thumb here with all the feedback people get us. So trails, tracks, house, great, riding, family, stuff like that. Those keywords that we always are trying to pick up on. Next slide. This is our social media. So this is just Facebook. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. For the last 28 days, we've had 1.8 million views on our Facebook page, just alone. Again, that's with our project down in Powhatan. That's helped with that significantly. But we do have a very good reach. Next slide. And then our followers, we're gaining about 3,000 followers a month, which is fantastic for us. And we're almost at 32,000 Facebook followers. Again, that allows us to kind of put our information out there. If we have a booking that comes available because someone canceled, we fill that very quickly, which is good for us as business. You want to add anything to social media?
We've been so grateful just to be able to have, this momentum and the introductions and doors that is open for us with social media. It's the fastest way that we can, share what we're doing and not just tell people what we're doing, but show them what we're doing. And just the connections, the relationships has been great. I don't know if you follow. We're in the process of building a power sports park down in Powhatan, and we are going through that as well. And we come up for a vote here in 2 months with the board, and to determine our fate. But if we fail, we are determined and dedicated to finding other places to go because of this demand that we want to solve. And with social media, to be able to just share the information, to drive into people to see what we're doing, to bring them in, spend dollars, and then leave. We don't have to build them schools, and we don't have to because they're just staying for a couple days. So by having a project like this, we would just social media the heck out of it, and we would love to do it with the help of the county to be able to just drive in guests from all over.
Yeah. So we post 5-6 times a day. We like the video format just because it's people like to watch it. But we've posted every day since we've opened, and what we found is it's not so much what we're posting, it's the story, right? So we show them when we mess up, we show them when we do something cool, we show them when our bridge broke yesterday, so we got to figure out how to fix that. And people just like following the story, and that's what we've done. And you can go back and look at all of our social media from day one, and it's been a fun process, but that real content with our families and our kids, and there's Scotty right there on the bottom right with the new tire swing. They just really respond to it, and it works out well because they want to come and stay. So next slide. That's it. So, thank you.
Thank you guys for that presentation. Mr. Nichols, do you want to provide any input now from the county before we get into questions? or-
I do. So after, let's say, hearing the initial proposal and then the presentation today, essentially, the way that I see this falling into our zoning ordinance is as a lodge or inn, because you've got more than just your typical short-term rental with the main house, which is large, would accommodate multiple parties. And so, under that item, which is a special permit use, I think that the riding activities are essentially an accessory to that. So you're establishing a place for people to go, and then under that umbrella, you just have the other activities that exist underneath of that. Similar to how Meander Inn runs, they have their place to stay, and then the other activities they have, the spa they're developing, and those things are the subordinate activities. That's the way that I view the activities proposed for this use. One thing that we had talked about originally that I did not hear us discuss today is the option for camping on the property. If you end up acquiring this particular property, will you seek to have guests come to camp? Will you have a camping option?
Potentially. In our minds, we envision a couple of things. And one thing we didn't hit is we've had several corporate retreats and business retreats where the local HVAC company has come in and rented the entire farm as a retreat for their hardworking employees. So we envision with the main house having that be kind of an inn, kind of a bed and breakfast kind of style where I can bring Scotland down and we can stay for the weekend and rent a room. Or we could bring the family and rent one of the houses. Or have the corporate retreat where maybe they rent all of it. So that is one thing I think we would, and we're bootstrapping and we're kind of slow. We'd have to kind of see and engage, but that could be a potential option to, maybe some RV pads or something like that, because we do get a lot of calls for that. They just say, well, I already have my setup, I already have my toy hauler, and I don't really need the house. And sometimes they've come down and rented the house, and sometimes they'll sleep in the toy hauler because that's where all of their things are. So it's an option. It's an option, but I don't see that right out of the gate.
All right. So something to think about as you
But
go
absolutely,
forward
yeah.
is if you want to make that as a part of your phasing, to be a part of this permit, or if it's camping as a standalone use. So if you did not pursue that as a part of your initial application and you wanted to add that later, that might be something that you would just have to come back and modify your special use permit or get another one to stack to say, we also want to do this activity now.
Yeah, and again, we're constantly trying to figure out ways, but like if you came for the guided tours, maybe that camping would be open to those folks, but it wouldn't be open for the folks that would just be riding the trails. That would be more for the private, semi-private. We can just control the riders.
Do you currently have campgrounds here in the county? Is there a campground, RV park, or?
There is an RV park not far from here, or a proper campground in that regard. And then there's a number of primitive sites around, and then some people have private camping accommodations.
The other thing, you all are very close to Skyline Drive, correct?
We are. Madison County doesn't have an entrance, but yes, a big part of the park is in, or not a vehicle entrance anyway. There's a lot of walking trails that go in there, but.
I know Adventure Bikes, right? Those folks are always, like a friend of mine just rode from Florida all the way back up to Maryland. He took 10 days to do it. But those folks are always looking for lodging locations, and there's a lot of adventure type of, I don't know, they target adventure bikes, so that's another purpose that we could have for camping. They're on their way back north or going down south. They could use us as a stop, and we know all the websites to get that put on. I think it would be more of like boutique camping, not just kind of open to the general public.
We do we try to cater to, how do I put this, kind of a Chick-fil-A kind of crowd. is kind of what we kind of cater to, and just to build really a lot of value and benefits to that. And, you know, we are, you know, our prices are not, you know, it's because you get a lot for what you're, you know, what you're buying and renting.
I'm satisfied. Mr. Chairman?
No, if we think that the ordinance, that lodging and inn would encompass both the ATV, UTV, dirt bike, and side-by-side, the trail rides, and then potentially camping be a secondary down the road ordinance, I think that makes
Yeah,
sense
I
to
will
me.
chime in and say, I know you guys could be considering multiple properties. As long as they're, you know, you've got your lodging as the primary use, I see the motorsports activities as subordinate to that, as an accessory. But should you come across a piece of property, and we can certainly unpack this later, where it's just standalone motorsports park, we may have to approach this a little different way,
Yeah.
which is fine, we can do that. But for this particular property, I think that's how it would fall.
And the big difference with the Powhatan 700 acres down there, it's just land. There's no infrastructure, there's no utilities at all. That's why we really love this property, because it's already there. It's already there, and we can already use the existing lodging there. So, very different. I think it would be probably a different model, but having the option to have some RV pads would be very nice to be able to have that, to explore that, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I'll jump into questions. First off, very good presentation. I mean, it's clear just looking at the business reviews, and I mean, I've watched y'all for the last few weeks in the Powhatan stuff as well. Y'all are passionate about this, you care about it, and you're clearly putting in a lot of effort. I personally am involved in agritourism and tourism, so I'm a full ally in this, and I think Madison is, you know, where our future lies. So want to say I'm supportive in terms of establishing that. As with any presentation, it usually kind of covers the good stuff, and we kind of skip over, you know, some of the controversial items. So I want to just kind of jump in a couple of those. One, are we contingent based upon how Powhatan does go? If y'all are approved by Powhatan, is this off the table, or is it both, or a mix of?
No, it could certainly be both.
Okay. My second one, you had said Maryland, they're not friendly to motorsports or to this industry. Can you tell us
Absolutely.
why?
So as an officer where I am, they actually have a law they put in place that says I am not allowed to ride my dirt bike on my own land unless I have written permission from a neighbor if it's within 100 yards, 300 feet. You'll get a citation for that. The city of Annapolis just banned gas-powered leaf blowers. So it's very frustrating for us. We love coming down here. I was born in Fredericksburg. I lived there till I was 5, and every time we come down here, it's just such a breath of fresh air to come down here. So one thing with bikes, there's a stigma with bikes, and it's a completely different culture that gives us kind of a black eye, as they call them, the 12 o'clock wheelie boys that ride through a lot of the cities. And, you know, and that's not our target audience. And they give us a bad reputation, unfortunately, because there are so many good families and business owners, and they're some of the nicest people that we've ever met in the community that we meet and go do a trail ride, and the relationships we've had. So Maryland's difficult. It's very difficult with the bikes. I mean, we're being overrun now with the e-bikes as well. And there's a few bad apples that get out, and they're riding wheelies and driving like you know what's down the road, and they're causing accidents, and people are getting hurt, and I know we're cracking down on them big time. And so this is just creating more of a challenge for us to solve this, to create this or to solve these challenges, because there's no place to go.
Perfect. Well, and full disclosure here, I do have a farm property in the western part of the county, and I do have neighbors that have quads and ATVs, and again, just being full disclosure, it's a nuisance to where I am. Now, it's very close to to my house where they've erected their track. But I think if that's already affecting me personally on a small scale, that's probably going to be the same sentiment from the large majority of neighbors here and maybe even general public here. And sound travels over property lines because they don't know any better. I won't get into personal details, but I know they're good people. The sound, still travels. Knowing that's going to be probably a major obstacle.
Yep.
What do we have, for like a noise abatement or for
Great question.
general?
Great question. Noise is probably the biggest thing that gets the attention you don't really want. And so we have learned, it's been a fluid process, and we've put, if you follow our social media, I've put up some pictures where we've had guests that brought in their ATV and just took the guts out of the exhaust, and it's just a straight pipe, and it is obnoxiously loud. So we learned. We were in our guest house when they were over there on the main house, and we said, that can't happen. That's ridiculous. So we then put a rule in that said, you can't do that. So, and we're now looking at, actually, we were just talking about making some changes. So AMA, American Motorcycle Association, they have strict noise restrictions for all of their races, and they have to pass a very, very, very difficult test to keep it under so many decibels. So that is something we would be looking at as well, because for whatever reason, some folks think that they can't have fun unless they make their bikes really loud, and that's just not true. These stock bikes are very fast, they're very powerful, and there's so much fun, and we're working and changing the culture with believing that less is more. If you can go quiet, you're going to have more opportunities to ride. Mountain bikes, they don't get a whole lot of complaints because they don't hear them out there. They don't hear them out there. So yes, so we would have if someone showed up and quickly and said, hey, look, and that bike, we got to park that bike. So I'm going to be putting out some social media here soon, just talking about that, and saying, if you have that really loud bike, let's keep that for Busco Beach, or let's keep that for maybe down in West Virginia at Hatfield. But that's just not. This is a family place. This is not a racetrack, and we want to put in steps and bumpers to prevent that, because we want it to stay quiet, because we don't want to get that negative attention for sure.
I did not have this slide, and I can send this to you later if you like. But so we had this for the Powhatan because, again, in the Powhatan property, there's 6 neighbors within a mile radius. And in our throttle therapy location, within 0.73 miles, we have 57 neighbors. We even have a neighbor that just bought the property right on our property line and built a house, and they've been fantastic. They actually tell us if our guests are night riding, because we don't allow night riding, and they'll call us immediately, and they're like, hey, we saw someone in the woods. We're like, thank you. Next phone call to the guest, and they're like, oh, sorry, we forgot. But yeah, we shut that down. And then, interesting enough, the neighbor that lives right here in this $1 million waterfront community, they came over yesterday because they have 60 acres here that they would like to have us use as kind of an add-on for our current location. Because they have a nice pond up here that's about 1.5 acres to fish on. There's a few beavers in there. So we went up there yesterday. And they live in this neighborhood. This neighborhood sold $12 million worth of real estate in the last 2 years. So we haven't had much of an impact. And the only neighbor that really did not like us when we first moved into the area was our neighbor right here, because she enjoyed the town, that were on the property prior. But since we've been there now, we don't hear much from them. And the one other thing is the shooting one.
Oh, so when we launched, we had Orange County also does not have a noise ordinance, and you didn't have to put any buffers in or anything like that. So the neighbors started to complain about the noise, and they were calling planning and zoning and code enforcement. And well, I just invited code enforcement out. I said, why don't you come in? We're an open book. We'll walk through the entire property, and we'll go see everything. And he was down in the streams looking at everything, any kind of runoff, anything. He walked out, looked at our tracks and trails, and he's walking around. He says, per code, you could ride bikes here 24/7. You could have put your tracks and your trails and shooting range right on your neighbor's fence, but you didn't. You put in hundreds of yards of buffer, knowing that coming from where I am, I can't even ride a dirt bike on my own land unless I have written permission within 300 feet. And so the neighborhood reached out and said, hey, we're just not happy about the noise. I said, well, what do you mean exactly? I said, what about the noise? They said, it's the shooting. I said, well, what about the shooting? They said, it's the times of the shooting. They said, the bikes don't even really bother us. I said, okay. I said, well, tell me more about that. And they said, well, we don't want to come home and be on our back porch cooking a steak and hear gunfire going off. I said, all right. I said, so let's just pretend. I said, understand that there's no noise ordinance. We could night shoot if we wanted to, but we want to be good neighbors. I said, well, let's just pretend we said you can only shoot, our guests can only shoot from 9 to 5. What would that look like to you? And he said, we would really like that. So we had a little discussion on it and said, all right, I think that's really smart. Let's give, right? Let's be understanding. So now we have a strict 9 to 5 that gives them 8 hours to shoot. And we have strict rules, no riding when shooting, no shooting when riding. So everything stops. But so noise is certainly a concern, and we are working hard to change that culture. We get a lot of social media pushback where like, well, what do you mean I can't bring my super modified exhaust? Sorry, sir. Sorry, ma'am. That's just, we're not for you. That's just, there's maybe another place. You're welcome to go down to West Virginia or go down to another park that is more accommodating of that, but that's just not what we're looking for. So absolutely, and it's a very fluid process, and we're learning. We've made mistakes, and we've learned and adjusted because things pop up, and we've learned and say, hey, how can we adjust and fix that?
And Alan, did you have the map of this Edgewood farm where I kind of drew in the tracks and stuff? I didn't see that image. It's almost like it didn't make it. Anyways, there's a way that you can design the property. Yeah, that's ours. I was looking for the Edgewood farm. I did one, but I guess I don't think it's in this iteration. I didn't stick it in.
Okay.
But if you can scroll down to the Edgewood farm, yeah, right there. So if you look at the fields where the river kind of comes close, so that's sort of in the valley, if you will, heading down to the river.
Do you have a laser pointer by chance?
Yes, Stacy, the white remote.
Thank you. So when we first started, we had some folks that were out night riding, and we've learned very quickly that when you night ride, a lot of people drink. And we actually had called the police on a couple of our guests. One, and we had to call, and it was kind of interesting. The sheriff's deputy showed up, and they said, why are we out here? There's no noise ordinance. You guys are allowed to ride. And I said, well, because we don't want that. So now we have strict no night riding rules because it's time to go to bed, and that's just not the crowd that we're looking to attract.
So I apologize, I didn't include it, but we kind of penciled out how we'd lay out this property. So again, there's really no neighbors over here. There's actually an Airbnb right here, which we kind of got excited about. They have great reviews, and it seems like there's a wedding venue nearby where they stay. But back to the property. So here would be sort of our tracks. This is all downward sloping. We would have single track in the woods. When you go in the woods, you can't hear. I mean, I can see a bike 10 feet in the woods, but you can't hear it. It's kind of, people don't understand when we say that, but
It's also single track is just simply picture a mountain bike trail. It's wide enough for handlebars. And it's slower speed, it's very slow speed, and it's very, very quiet.
we would have a perimeter trail, of course. Then over here, we were going to keep this to be where the lake is and all this field where we'd have actual cows and farming activities. And then in here would be maybe another track or two. But from looking at all the neighbors, you really just have these. I mean, we just drove out there, and I mean it's very sparsely populated. And then with all these tree lines here, these folks on this side of the river, they're not going to hear anything. I just ran a test down in Powhatan. I put 50 bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides on a mile track, and we rode for 40 minutes, and we said go. And we had the VDOT decibel reader at 0.33 miles away, and it was reading 50. Conversation 60 decibels, just to put that in perspective. You're not going to hear much because the land itself sucks that noise up. Unlike when you're on a road, the road reflects and kind of amplifies it, and it kind of shoots it down the highway.
One thing to add to most of our busiest season is when there's leaves on the trees, and those leaves really help.
That
with
was
the
going to be
noise.
my next question.
With
I
the
noticed
noise
in
as
the
well.
orange location, most of your tracks are in the canopy. And it looks like out here it probably wouldn't be as much. And I can tell you just from, again, personal experience, in the winter, I can hear it 3 times, 4 times as much.
Right.
So with the lack of canopy here, because from what I can tell by your conversation, you won't go down by the river into the trees as much, or you will put the track?
No, the track would not be in the trees, but it would be in this field area here. And again, it's downward sloping this way, so the noise would go towards these trees. But these trees, I can almost assure you, are gonna block 95% of the noise. And if you do hear something, it's one of those situations where you have to know what you're listening for, like with a 4-stroke, and you've got to kind of like listen, and you'll hear the 4-stroke. But if you're not listening to it, you're not going to hear it over the trees. And then once you get in the trees, for the most part, you're in second gear on a bike. You're not full open. That's where it really gets loud, is on motorsports tracks, where they're just 40 miles per hour, just ripping it right before the jumps. We're not motorsport guy or motocross guys. We do have tracks, but they're very, I don't know, what do you want to say,
So-
amateurish?
Right, and so anyone ever heard of Budds Creek Motocross Park? It's a professional MX track up in southern Maryland. They do world national events. As much as I'm into bikes, I'm embarrassed to say I just went there for the very first time 2 weeks ago. I'd never been. I'm more of a trail rider. He's more of a trail rider. We get a lot of guests that call us and say, hey, your track, do you groom it? Do you water it? Does it get, groomed every day and the dirt all fluffy? And we say, no, that's not us. No, we're just a family place. If you're looking for a professionally groomed and maintained motocross track, we recommend going to Dinwiddie or going to, another track.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
I've got a list, if you indulge me to run through them, and then I'll hand it off to somebody else. I know we're about an hour in, and our stakeholders are here. One, we definitely look for tourism, agritourism. I know years ago we had a business summit, and that's clearly what came back, and we've had studies. So a few questions, if you mind. Your proposed location here, I know you have a location in Lake Ann, and that's kind of like if private folks want to come rent that out. The venture you're proposing here, is that like a public venture where you can come by an admission pass to ride your trails, or it would have to be, individuals coming down and booking it, kind of like an Airbnb for that private experience?
Correct. You would, in order to access the tracks and trails, you'd have to rent one of the houses. The only caveat is that on the weekends, we'd like to do the guided tours. Those folks would not have to stay on the place. But again, that's a controlled environment, and they're only going to be riding for 2 hours. And I don't think they'll really get over this 10-mile-per-hour speed limit. And like my side-by-side, it's a CF Moto. I just bought it in December. You can't hear it, when it goes around the corner. I mean, it's super.
So you're probably not going to do day passes?
For this location, no.
Okay.
No. We'd probably want to do an event maybe once or twice a year, but that would
What
be it.
what would the event would be to be able to host? So in Orange allows us 4 events a year, and we just apply for the temporary use permit for the weekend. And currently we do 1 a year. We keep it very boutique, and it's been a sellout event. But here in the county, how
300
many
or
events would you be
350?
permitted to do?
So for any of the activities that would otherwise require a special use permit, you can do up to 15 of those a year under a provisional that we like to call seasonal and brief. If you're going to have a standalone event with more than, and I'll have to reference it, but it's either 300 or 350 people, you just apply for a large-scale event permit, so that way we can, the purpose really is just to circulate between EMS and the sheriff and folks to make sure that everyone's aware that there's going to be a large concentration of people somewhere, to make sure that we can offer services if need be. And so, if you were it seems from our conversation so far that if you had a couple times a year when you were going to have your weekend open for day passes, that seems like a perfectly reasonable and appropriate
Okay.
thing to
Thank
do.
you. Thank you. But yes, sir, to answer your question, we would envision 4 families coming in, renting each of the homes, and then they get private access to the activities, to the tracks
Okay.
and trails.
And,
the
and
river.
that's good to know, because I know neighbors or the planning commissioner, just in general, they're gonna wanna know, all right, does this look like, 1,200 riders? I used to ride some at George Washington National Forest, and I was telling the IT guy, Richard, who introduced you guys, I quit because I was riding my ATV, and there's a trail that intersects, all of a sudden you see a dirt bike just blow by you. So it does seem like that's a better. How does this location, proposed location, different than Lake Ann? I mean, obviously the acreage size is one of those, but how does this differ?
One big thing is there's water. One thing, it's a big gap in and that's a kind of a one thing that's kind of a non-negotiable for us is that moving forward, we have to find a property with water, minimum a pond, because she's been dying to fish. His kids have been dying to fish. My son has been dying to fish. And to ride all day, it's tiring. Hey, let's go out, let's get on the rowboat, right? Let's go down. And we were so excited when our neighbor reached out to us with 60 acres and said, I have 60 acres. Do you think you guys, maybe we can work out something? Because I'm not really doing a whole lot with it. And it was amazing. We went down and said, we got to figure this out because this pond is beautiful. So what is nice about this is it has, and this is why it's so attractive to us, is it has the lodging. It has the lodging. We don't have to build that and create that and put the septic systems in and all that. It's already there. The venue, the opportunity to host that very unique side-by-side style wedding. I've never seen it personally, but we're getting calls for it. And I had never thought that someone would want to do that, but my goodness, boy, am I learning, right? So this would basically be just a throttle therapy Lake Anna times 4. 4 homes. We now have the 2 at our place, and we've had so much success with it. And so that's what we envision. That's what we really like about. And the main house has the pool, where then the guests could come in and use the pool. Because I know my wife, again, bougie, right? She's not a rider, but she would sit at that pool all day while we go have a good time. So that's what we really like about that, and have the passes, and then not the passes, but have the rentals there for the homes. And then on the weekends is when they could come in and do the tour, do the slow tour through the farm trails.
Okay, 2 more. I'll promise you I'll leave you alone. Your business plan, and I understand the numbers are a lot smaller than I was initially thinking in my head before I had a chance to meet and hear your presentation. But I do have to ask it, we're always thinking of public safety and things like that. Does your business plan account for on-site medical providers, or would that be strictly relying on the county's EMS services?
In our minds, we would envision on-site medical if during any special events. But during a regular stay, we currently don't have a medic standing by, when you're renting out the Airbnb. But we've we've reached out to the Orange County volunteers to come out and help us. But that's when we're bringing in, larger numbers, and that would be very limited.
So in the last the end of this year, we'll have roughly over 3,000 visitors. We've called the police once ourselves, and we've had EMS twice in the last, up 3.5 years. It's been, so with 3,000 riders. So again, we set everything up to limit, all of our trails are directional, tracks directional, all of our jumps are tabletops. What's great about tabletop is you can clear a 100-foot jump if you want, or you can just, with the kids, they can just kind of, it's, dealer's choice. Again, if you don't know what you're doing and you do hit it, you probably are going to hurt yourself. But we try to limit really the amount of folks that can.
Helmets are required. Our track, and so I don't know. What's really unique with this situation is our track builder is Stephen Jarrell.
Okay.
He is a savant with moving dirt. It's very therapeutic to just watch him work on a dozer. It's really, really neat. But and I understand he's here local, so we've had him out three times now, and we've modified and learned that, hey, we got to make this a little safer. And, we built our first track, and people were saying it was boring. So I called him out and said, can you take the word boring out of our track? And oh, did he do that? Well, we ran with that and realized unless you're kind of an A rider, we need to make some modifications. So now we've made it all tabletops. It's very much safer. So there's a lot of warning signs. We have a lot of caution tape. We have a lot of safety fence up. We have signs all over. He's always teasing me. He said, there you go, putting up another sign, putting up another sign. It's like because we learn, we got to put it up, right? I mean, we want to protect ourselves from risk as well. We want to mitigate that because we know that riding is inherently dangerous. We know that, and there's a risk that comes with that.
But I appreciate that. Just curious, because we always have to plan for those things.
Yes, sir.
And that was our local press. So if you want to know who's that weird guy taking the picture, that's just Chuck.
I wear a body camera every day. I'm so used to being on camera. So
So last question, and it's not required for today's meeting, but it's more of, I know former chairman, Mr. Carpenter, and I'm sure current chairman here, Mr. Whitman, they're big on this as well. One of your larger property owners or neighbors is the Tatum family. Have you met the Tatums yet? What I would say or recommend, it's your choice, if this seems like it moves forward towards a planning commission application, it may be worthy of connecting with them. Longtime farmers here, Tatum School Road, but a lot of farmland over there. Good people, good family. Mr. Tatum, Wayne Tatum passed recently, but just a recommendation, kind of get to your neighbors early.
of course.
Because Alan always sends out letters notifying them if there's a public hearing or things of adjoining property. We would also, if this is within 1 mile of a adjoining county, which it is, we would notify that county too, because the statute requires it. So that's all I had. Thank you for indulging me, and this is a very unique and
Thank you.
interesting business. So I wish you well, and we'll see where this goes based on this committee's recommendation today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wiki, and Mr. Co-Chair. Being cognizant of time, and we do have stakeholders, I should have mentioned this earlier, we have Health Department and VDOT. If the panel's okay, I'll hand it off to them for specific questions and comments in case y'all do have time constraints. I don't think we'll need them on the second case at all, if they need to leave early. Okay. All right. Let's start with VDOT. Do you have any specific questions, feedback, or at this point, more of informative for you? There you go. You got off easy. Here's your turn. Emily?
Yeah, I guess, there's a lot going on.
Excuse me, Scott, would you mind passing Emily a microphone so we can hear her later? Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot's going on. So I would just say whenever y'all are ready, come talk to us. As far as sewage systems, they're already structured there, just to make sure that can accommodate everyone. Are you going to provide food?
Would we provide food? So one thing we would want to do is we obviously want to keep them there and keep them entertained. This is something we've been brainstorming on for the tours, is we want to bring them in and not just ride a side-by-side for a day and do a tour around the farm, but what else can they do? Could we work up to a food truck at least? Could we recommend and work out with a local brewery or a vineyard where they come in and do the tour, and then part of the package is they go over and and that includes a glass of wine at the local vineyard or with one of the local restaurants. So that is something that we're trying to figure out because we know they're going to get hungry. We're going to get hungry. So, and with the inn style, the bed and breakfast for the main house, it would probably be some sort of breakfast, I would think. And we're kind of learning as we go with this because we've never done that. But yes, we would like to have that option to be able to explore. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So again, just whenever y'all are ready to roll, give us a little time, but come talk to us because we have a food team. It might fall under, some type of bed and breakfast permit or a hotel type of permit. And, as far as well and septic, we would just, depending on how many people you're going to serve, just to make sure that it can accommodate everyone.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Claire. I will go ahead, I think that's all the stakeholders in the audience. Jamie, do you want to talk DEQ? I know y'all been through DEQ, probably with the orange one, but I know it's probably going to be one of the first targets for these guys. And I brought that up, I'm just assuming this is purely a citizen assumption that you'll probably hit that with the amount of tracks that or the mileage you're talking about, so maybe not, but. Mhm.
We want to make sure that the dirt stays on the property. We want to make sure it's there, and that's why we've added in the sediment ponds and the to catch that. So absolutely, we don't like, that's one thing that, you know, we were explaining to the folks in Powhatan, that we don't like cutting trees down. That takes time, it takes money, it disturbs the land. We like to go around trees. And they're still having a tough time kind of digesting what even like single track trails look like, where I can build a single track trail, picture mountain bike trails with a pair of loppers, just snipping off the branches so they don't smack me in the face. And so we're not down anywhere down the river. We're not taking equipment. We're not building. There's nothing down there. It's so a lot of what we're planning to do is just picture a path. Just picture a path across a lot of what we're planning to do there. A tractor trail, you know, a lot of it, because we don't want to disturb. We don't want to disturb, and because it takes time, it takes money. There's environmental consequences, of course. Great question.
And actually, I failed to do this earlier, kind of introduction, since y'all are new to the county. We do have Board of Supervisor attendees up top as well, so Ms. Sharman and Mr. Snyder. So they are actually board members, and then the rest of us are panels of either quasi-volunteers or county officials. So that's where these questions are coming from, three different bodies, really. So
Thank you.
Apologies. Any other questions or comments for the applicants? Go ahead, you have one? Yeah. I mean, personally, I feel this warrants definitely a further oh, did you have a question? I'm sorry, Nancy.
Well, I do have a comment, only because we do live on a farm here in Madison County as well, and our neighbors who are really, we have fabulous neighbors. We've had them there for decades. And they now have teenagers, and those teenagers love these side-by-sides and these four-wheelers, and there might be 3 to 5 of them on their days of celebration. They know no speed limit. They go, and it's all a dirt road, and up the road they come, and then in the dividing line between the two properties, and I know that it's short enough rides that it's just annoying for a little while, and you know they're just having a great summer day, but that's not something I would want to hear for long periods of time on the weekends nearby, and we don't have that noise ordinance, so I don't know how we handle that, but some of it's wooded, some of it isn't, but I'm just saying, I'm just saying that part of, as far as, tolerance level, and I think mine's a little better than my husband's, so, just saying.
We actually just installed speed limit signs on our gravel road because to keep dust down And just because now we have a shared driveway, we share with a farm next door, 300 acres. And just, we want to keep our gravel on the road. We've had some gravel get slung off, so we want to keep that on there. So absolutely, we want to keep everyone quiet as possible, safe as possible, and it's definitely it's a fluid work in progress. And hey, oh wow, that didn't work. Well, let's come up with a solution. Let's figure it out.
I know it's a huge activity, an event, and it's fun, but it's also, to me, it seemed, that it's dangerous. You got to be so careful, et cetera. But I don't want to squash any of your dreams. I'm just telling you about where I live on my farm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I'm surprised somebody hasn't done this in this county long before this. You can sit out here on 29 and just see the ATVs, the side-by-sides running, and I know where they're going. They're going to Hatfield McCoy trails, like I've done many times. One of the things that I see here is that you do talk about being down on the river, including tubing and kayaking on the river. So I thought I heard you just say y'all weren't going to be down on the river. And the only reason why I'm saying that is, I'm sure you're welcome to do so, but during the planning commission phase of it, and when people come up here, there's always something that's being said about people being in the river, pollution, et cetera. So you don't need to answer any questions. All I'm trying to do is make you aware that if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but people will be bringing that part of it up.
Yes, sir. We would love to access that river. We would love to be able to let the kids go down there and throw a fishing rod in or get on a tube or something or a canoe. We actually, when we drove across the river, we took pictures of it, and it seems like it's a lot of opportunity there with that. And so we would, in our mind, we would envision a path down to the river where they can go and, hey, let me go. Sorry. Canoe trip. She's saying canoe trip, canoe trip. So that's what we would envision, a path down to get down to access. It would just purely be access to the water, but we're not putting jumps or anything like that down there, and let's have a nice jump next to the river, or we're not jumping over the river or anything like that. So no, absolutely, we'd love to be able to have that part of the package where they could do possibly a tour and a trip down a raft trip down the river kind of thing.
Any other questions or comments? I will say, as Mr. Weekly mentioned, speak to your neighbors sooner rather than later. And I don't know the contractual details of the is land purchase, or is this all contingent?
Yeah,
Is
and
it-
just so you know, we do not have a contract on this.
Okay.
We do not have a contract on this. We still have to sharpen our pencil on that and get that. This was just a property, and it's kind of, I'm always saying, what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Mm-hmm.
Do we get the property and then come here and talk, or do we talk to you and then go get the property? So this may be, our realtor's working with their realtor, and we might get a call, I'm going to check my phone and say, hey, they just got a contract and we're out. So I will say, kind of in closing here, that we are always looking for other opportunities. We want to keep the farms, we want to keep it rural, we want to not build subdivisions. So if there are any other opportunities where maybe someone is just, they're done with farming, the kids don't want anything to do with it, but they just want to keep that what's the word, that rural character, and not have it turned into a solar farm or something like that. And we would love to use the house that she was born in, the homeowner or something was born in, or she gave birth to her kids, to keep that rural character. So we're always looking for other opportunities, and to do exactly what this is, to have that semi-private model with the houses. They can come in and stay. The one thing about being good neighbors, I was actually a community outreach officer for 5 years, and that's what I did. I just handled neighbor disputes. And anything we couldn't solve, they sent me in to just figure it out. So when we bought Lake Anna, that's what I did. I walked out and I knocked on all the neighbors' doors. Here's my card. This is what we're trying to do. We want to be good neighbors. Please come over and enjoy the place. Please come over and ride. Please come over and shoot. And one of the neighbors now, because of us, is now into racing. He's lost a bunch of weight. His mental health is up. He's actually, we've become great friends. So there's been a lot of really good positive to come out of this. But yes, we want to be good neighbors, and we'd love. It's actually kind of exciting because the neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Tatum, right? They have that Airbnb there, and that would be something we would love to talk to them about. How can we help put some heads in your beds with our place to maybe help try to figure out an option where we can now have a fifth opportunity, a fifth lodging opportunity.
It's literally right outside the gate.
So, yes, we would love to meet the neighbors, and we'd love to meet any other neighbors to, that would be open to this.
Yeah, so we have been looking for our second location for 2 years. We haven't gotten to the point where we reached out to the county because we keep losing these properties. So we've changed tactics, and now we're trying to go to the counties first. So you guys have an understanding of who we are and what we're trying to do, because again, we both work for the man, essentially. We don't have that kind of money to buy this and then hope that you all would be supportive of it. So what we're trying to do is find counties that are willing and interested in what we're offering. And if you're not, that's fine. You know, there's other counties. What county do we go to? Near Fredericksburg on the eastern side.
Caroline?
Caroline. We went to Caroline. They wanted nothing to do with it at all. And they told us pretty frankly.
And we said, good thing we didn't just buy a $2 million farm.
Yeah. So we said, okay, appreciate your time, and we moved on. So again, we're not for everybody. We understand that. But if you guys are interested and this project falls through, maybe like Scott said, there's another opportunity. 2 years down the road, you know, who knows?
We would love, with our social media, we're picking up hundreds of followers a day, and I can't even imagine, because we're go before the board in Powhatan in 60 days, and I can't even imagine the momentum. I mean, we could be upwards of, you know, we could be close to 50,000 followers, and we are just getting so much better with that, and we'd be at the opportunity to have a place like this, or any place here in Madison. I mean, we could drive, we could just get so much really, really great, you know, attention to have folks come in here and invest in your county and spend dollars in your county.
Well, thank you. And I will give kudos to Mr. Weekly and the board, because they're the ones that champion the PDRC, and the whole purpose for this is for cases like this where we want to be good stewards too and not put anybody behind a financial hardship, and they find out that, you know, some of our ordinances don't align. So this is exactly why we're having this conversation today.
And
so.
it just one last thing, I wanted to thank, I was hoping to see him, Rich. So how we connected, so I was going down to our farm, and I needed some help. A couple of our trails were not being ridden on very much. We didn't have a whole lot of traction or a lot of traffic on it, especially the single track. And so I went to social media and just said, hey guys, I'm gonna be down on this day. Would anybody like to come in with their bike and maybe give me a hand and just kind of ride their bikes around and maybe bring your saw or your clippers and your loppers? And Rich answered the call, and he brought his son down, and he was out there with the string trimmer helping me out, and he was and his sons, and he helped fix some things along the shooting range, and it was great. And so just those connections, and you know, being through our social media page, it connected me with him, and then connected us here, and we are having so much. This is great. I mean, it's just been such a great journey and we've learned a lot. We've made a lot of mistakes, and you know, I'm so excited to see what the next 3 years will bring. So thank you. Please tell him I said hi and thank you.
Well, and if you see him on social media, it was his birthday, I think, on Sunday. So
I sent him a message.
Just saying. Thank you both for your service as well. I do not
Thank you,
want to
sir.
pass the opportunity without saying that.
I was about to add the exact same thing, so thank you both for public service and jumping state lines to coming over here to Virginia. So, the other thing, since we did mention social media, and I'll close on this is a public meeting, so it will be presented publicly. So, and since y'all do have a pretty good active presence on social media, I would imagine that the county will start buzzing about this. So just warning or welcome, I don't know which one you want to call it. Question for either one of you gentlemen: since they do not own the land and don't have a contract, we don't have the landowner here, can we pass this to planning commission,
There's
or is this
nothing binding.
preliminary?
This is a conversation.
Okay.
So we certainly would not take a special use permit application without the landowner's signature. But this is just presenting a concept. The gentlemen are seeking feedback on what the county thinks about this activity. And maybe it's this piece of property, maybe it's another one, but I mean, it was intriguing enough that we definitely wanted to invite them in for a conversation. I personally think this kind of activity would be of a great benefit. So,
It does check all the boxes for tourism, and also, we have 30,000 acres in Shenandoah National Park, so we don't see all the benefits of that financially. But Old Rag, if you've heard of Old Rag Mountain.
Great hike.
That's in
Great hike.
Madison County too, so just so you know that. And our Central Virginia region, from Nelson to Fauquier, sort of, we've got it renamed to the Virginia Piedmont, so you'll start hearing that, so if you want to start using that too.
One thing Alex just mentioned, as far as us with our social media, we have not mentioned this at all. We're not planning on, we don't have a contract yet. Until we can get a contract, we really don't have a whole lot. And other than the opportunity to come in here and share an idea and our dream and our vision and our passion about this, because this property we believe it would be amazing and my gosh, the opportunity would be incredible, but we might not get it, we might not get it, and the more conversations we can have to explain what we're trying to do can hopefully then open another door, potentially. If one closes, maybe another one could open.
One thing I did want to add, if you guys are ever down by the Lake Anna area or driving through Orange and you want to take a slight detour, our place is always open. During the week, we have usually not a lot of guests, so we're more than happy to let you guys take a look. We're really proud of how we've kept that rural character, because again, I think a lot of people, when they envision dirt bike tracks, and it's just dirt, right, like a construction site, and ours is mostly green. And it's, in my opinion, for being operational for 3.5 years, it looks beautiful.
One thing, as far as everybody kind of wants to know, what's your exit strategy, right? What's your exit strategy? One thing we love about Lake Anna is that in a week, I can have Mr. Gerald out there with his dozer, and he would level everything out, and we would hydroseed everything, and in a couple months, it would look like we were never there. Because we haven't been building things. I mean, we went in and we built some jumps, but all that can be fixed so quick, where with the Powhatan place, we would have to put in all the infrastructure, and we'd have to have a barn and an office. But this property like this, it already has that. So I don't see, I mean, if we come in and it fails miserably and we've got to sell the farm, well, and then the buyer says, I don't want anything to do with your tracks or trails, okay. Give me a week here, and I'll have it seeded and look like we were never here. You just got to let the grass grow back.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to these folks here today that when they come under contract for a property, that they submit an application for a special use permit for an inn and lodge, as we've discussed today.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded that we pass this to the planning commission once the applicant, should y'all go under contract and should you want to proceed, we'll move that to the planning commission for further review. Is that fair enough? All right, all those in favor? Oh, discussion? Yep.
So what we're saying is no recommendation to the planning commission at this particular point, right?
And to
Only that the
contingent
applicant-
upon,
Only if they come in
Move
under
forward
contract.
when they come under contract.
repeat, move that this goes to the planning commission should and if the applicants go under contract on this particular property for further discussion with the planning commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Chairman votes aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none. Thank you both for your time. I think everyone here agrees that this is a unique and fun idea and would fit well, so.
Thank you so much for the opportunity,
Yeah.
everyone. This was a first time for us. I've never really been in one of these rooms other than courthouses, so so thank you. Thank you.
Take her to Yoder's and get her some ice cream. She's been really good.
Yoder's.
Go
Thank
to
you.
Yoder's, yeah, you got to.
Mr. Chairman, ahead of our next case, because I have a working relationship with our applicant, I'm going to recuse myself from all conversation and review of this one, and I'm also going to depart. Thank you, sir.
Perfect, thank you. Thanks, Ms. Weekly, you. And Mr. Weekly, you'll be taking over? Yeah.
Scroll up the top screen.
All right.
Got two screens, there you go.
The second case of the day, Carl Brackman has requested an exploratory meeting to discuss the potential rezoning of 12.5 acre portion of Madison County Tax Map 50-55 from A1 to residential limited R1. The purpose of the application is to increase the number of dwellings that may be placed on the parcel and future subdivision rights. Mr. Weekly,
1 second, I went the wrong way.
you're good.
This is why you have Alan and I. A lot of good data here. All right, here we go. So, yes, the applicant has requested, this, as you know, is an exploratory meeting. They are looking at basically rezoning a 12.5 acre portion. Your tax map numbers there, I'm sure Alan has the parcel here in the packet, basically to rezone from A1 to R1. So it would provide an increased number of dwellings. As you know, R1 statute, when it comes to lot size, it is 1 acre with public water and sewer, and 1.5 acres if it is on private well and septic. So basically, I think this is just straightforward a rezone. You may want to call on the applicant for any other particulars. Here is the parcel that's before you for the 12.5 acres that is being explored today. And that's all I had. Again, I would recommend
Yeah.
you call on the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Carl, you want to, oh, you have the microphone in your hand. All right, you're on the hot seat.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, member of the committee and county staff. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my project today. I'm in the process of buying a 12.5 acre property located on John Tucker. It's actually part of a tax map 50-55, but it's in the process of being divided. The portion we're buying is a 12.5 acre of that tax map. This parcel is actually zone A1, and I would consider applying to rezone that property R1. The idea, I'm going to give you a little bit of context. The idea is to create 5 to 6 residential lot, approximately 2.5 acre, and build a single family house on it. This would be medium-sized home, around 1,200 square foot, stick building construction. My plan is to build a multiple house for long-term lodging, so not Airbnbs or speculative house. I will keep the ownership. So one thing I liked about this property, that's its shape. The road frontage is about 1,000 feet and around 1,200 feet deep. As you can see on the 2 conceptual plans I already provided, there is a generous distance between dwellings. If you can scroll down.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Each lot located on the front of the road will have somewhere around 300 to 350 feet of road frontage. The view from the road will remain open and will help to preserve the rural character of the neighborhood. Even with an R1 rezoning, we're still going to be over 2 acres per lot. So the overall density will remain, I would say, low. I also believe that the project fit very well with the surrounding area. We have an R1 concentration on the other side of John Tucker, and many lot nearby has less than 3 acres and less than 300 feet, so which is less than what I'm offering today. That's the reason why I really think that this project fits the surrounding area. Other thing I like to point out, that's this project would be valuable for the community. because the need for long-term rental in the county. There is, as you know, all know, there is almost nothing for rent actually in the county, and not everyone is ready to buy a home, especially with today's price. So this house could provide an option for a young family, local worker, or retirees that want to stay within the county. I'm simply asking for your guidance today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you,
If I
Carl.
may, Mr. Chairman, just to add to that, I'm familiar with this area. Once I saw it on the GIS earlier, this is tucked in between, it's on John Tucker, but it's tucked between, I think that's Goods Lane and Sheffield Manor. Sheffield Manor was a development done by Anthony Clatterbuck, which appears to be similar in this concept. So I only say that as if you're looking for the area and if there's anything like what's being proposed, essentially next door, Sheffield Way, excuse me, I don't know if it's Manor or Way, is very similar. And that's all I wanted to add, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Well, and again, exploratory, and the question, really at hand for us today is, if the R1 is acceptable and if it fits to move further for rezoning. Mike, you want to go ahead?
So does this also pertain to 55G? 55G? That seems to be that one little lot that was in the middle of it that seems to be.
No, that's a new parcel. The parcel X hasn't been recorded yet.
Yeah, because the prior had this kind of, yeah.
So 55 does have that little cutout in it. And 55G.
Yep.
55G's got the cutout in it, right? And that's not part of your rezoning? Okay. And while I got you, is this currently in land use?
I don't know.
You know about the rollback taxes
Yeah.
on that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my comments are, the term spot zoning pops up a lot, but when you look at the area, I'm zooming in right now on GIS, I see more houses than I see cropland and along John Tucker. And then, I mean, even over toward the John Tucker, Mount Zion intersection, it's pretty heavily built up. So although not maybe zoned R1, it is definitely a residential pocket there between a couple of, or I guess, what's the nearest R1? Is it?
You basically would have
Locustdale.
A1, R1. So A1 is 3 acre minimum, which I believe are the Sheffield lot size.
Okay, that's
really
what's
only
next to it.
distinguishes. If he's doing 2 acres, the R1 is the next closest thing as far as density
Okay.
that allows him to move less than 3 acres. Are you looking to do, would this be a private road you're looking to do or a state road?
So three of the we'll have 3 lots accessible from the John Tucker.
Okay.
And the 2 or 3 remaining one will be accessible from an existing non-exclusive right-of-way.
So basically, Carl, if memory serves me correct, and Alan, should this move forward towards an actual application for the planning commission, Alan Nichols could get with you, you may already be aware, but a private road maintenance agreement for those lots being served. I believe it's 2 or more lots that private road maintenance agreement kicks in. So that would be a requirement. What is advantageous, if there's one owner, they can do it in advance, and there's usually agreement on that, but that would be a requirement of this moving forward. It's a simple form that, and there's examples that the county could provide of other private road maintenance agreements that would be submitted to Alan, but also would be reviewed by our attorney.
And Mr. Weekly, since you brought that up and we have the stakeholders, I'm respectful of y'all's time. So does VDOT have anything specific on rezoning for?
No, just to keep in mind with the 6 lot option, because it would be serving lots
Anything else, VDOT, other than that? Emily, since we don't have a microphone, anything with y'all, again, just kind of calling as your time if y'all need to zip out.
Just once it gets, Carl, what are you doing?
Causing y'all work.
Yeah, just, once it, if it rezoning goes through, I would just say, think about getting plenty of a reserve, because we do see that down the line, when septic systems start to go kaputs. You want to make sure, since there's no public, sewer water that's going to be available, you want to make sure you just have plenty of area for reserve for your septic system. And this just the regular, get the soil scientist out there to design, private systems.
Thanks, Emily. Any other, Mr. Carpenter?
Quick question. I was interested in you said that's an existing easement that goes down the side of the
Yeah.
property. Does that serve anything beyond that property that you're?
Yeah, that's an easement that the Gooding kept for an 18-acre parcel that used only for farming.
So it does serve one other parcel?
Yeah, it served one or the other parcel, just because they redesigned the subdivision on the Gooding, and I don't think they were able to do one additional lot without having that actual right-of-way to serve that piece of land.
Okay. Do you happen to know offhand, the easement, is it a
50 feet.
50-foot,
Yeah.
standard 50-foot easement? Okay. And you're planning to serve at most 3 lots from that, is that correct? Which still leaves you plenty of room for additional, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Anything from Jamie, anything on your end? Yeah, pretty,
Rezoning typically not, but since Carl does work for the county, and works in our office, just let everyone know, Carl won't be doing any inspections or plan review or anything to do with it. He'll be
Well, thank you for
considered
going
an
on the record, though. I mean, I think it's worth
Yeah,
noting.
I agree.
know we realize that, we have maintained integrity, but I do think it's important for the record, so thank you, Jamie.
other than paying me some money.
paying the county money, paying the county money, yeah, I'll clarify that, too. Yeah. No, in all serious candor, I mean, yes, I don't think it's influencing any of us. We do appreciate Carl, but we're also not partial here, so. Any other, in my opinion, it's 4 houses or 5 houses that's going to be developed. I think we probably should have some more residential in our county this way versus, very high volume and apartments and other things. So I personally feel like it'd be good to pass on to the planning commission for this one.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
it
a
would be, yeah, it
rezone.
would be rezoned, yeah.
I did like it looks like he's got some vegetation planned for
Oh,
that, so. I think
Don't get us
that's
started on
worth
green
putting
space.
down, too. Yeah.
Well, seeing that discussion, any other, for the point, anything from the stakeholders? Any other questions up here? How do
I
we?
just have one question
Shauna?
here. This is going to be rental property only?
Yep.
And is this none of us really know, but is this a long-term investment or is this a flip?
Very long-term investment. That's for my retirement, so I'm pretty young.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, I'm just asking that, so, for zoning purposes. Thank you.
And I assume, just getting, for Carl, in the planning commission, if they're, we can't put proffers or anything like that on rezoning. It'd
The
be
only time you get into rezoning with condition, it's conditional
Conditional,
rezoning.
yeah.
And that has to be specified on the application, so I'm not
Okay,
hearing that from
okay.
Carl.
Yeah.
So if it's a straight rezone, then yes. it
Then
would
there are
be.
no, okay. So just so we're all clear that that's what we're going to make a motion on today, so. Do we see a motion? Do we see?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that this project moves on to the Plan Commission.
Perfect, all right. The motion's been made and seconded to move the rezoning application by Mr. Carl Bratbian to the Planning Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right, since this is official, we don't have anybody online, do we? Okay. Any public comment from anybody in the room today? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, the motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And thank y'all for going late with us today. This was a good one.